Persons under 18 will not be admitted.
Every 10 or 15 years, a film is produced that is so overwhelming, so forceful in its impact, that it becomes deeply embedded in the mind.
Right on the set, goddammit. Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Mark Dodson.
You're listening to Still Toking with.
Hi, this is Dee Wallace from Weekly and True Show, and you're listening to Still Toking with on the Dorkening podcast.
Follow us to the new revolution.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. We have very active lifestyles. It's not all wandering the countryside aimlessly or scaring passing motorists. And we all love a good cup of joe. And there's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. Bold, robust, delicious. It's coffee that can wake the dead. With over a dozen different roasts and flavors, Deadly Grounds can satisfy the most finicky of coffee addicts. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
Hey, happy Wednesday, everybody. You're watching Still Toking with. My name is Leo. I'm the monkey behind the keyboard here. We have an awesome show scheduled for you, as always. And with that, Benjamin, how's it going?
It's going. Still recovering, man. That was a long weekend.
Oh, I know. You say that with such enthusiasm.
Well, you know, I am enthused. I mean, Billy and Brian put on a killer show. You know, we had the live media panels all weekend long for all you viewers. And, you know, I'm super psyched to do it all again in 7 days?
We're not even fully recovered from the last one.
Right. So, yeah, you heard us right, folks. You know, this show's tonight. We're not going to have a show next Wednesday, but next Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we'll be broadcasting live from Tidewater Horror Convention in Norfolk, Virginia. So make sure you tune in.
Wait, Friday, Saturday? What? No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Jeffrey,
I'm
going to have to teach him how to push the buttons.
Who?
Me.
Your counterpart there.
Well, the only buttons I know how to push are my wife's.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Right?
Right.
Maybe Ben's every once in a while.
Yeah, maybe.
So, but I wanted to add in on the, it was a great weekend down in Maryland. If you missed any of those live panels, they are available, so you can go back and watch them. Right, Ben?
Yes, they are.
Yes, they are. So just go to, you can go to our page, Token with the Dead, and they should be archived in there. There was a lot of great stuff going on. Tony Moran, Tanaka. Is it Tanaka? Who else do we have there? Yeah.
Narnar.
He was a great dude. Narnar? Yeah.
Narnar.
You know.
All right, but who do we have with us?
Anyway.
Who do we have with us tonight?
Let's get it on. Tonight, let's welcome John Bukowski, author. I'm so excited to hear how you came into doing this kind of thing, to be honest with you.
Great. Glad to talk about. Thanks for having me. I was enjoying your intro too. It's as entertaining as the show, I think. It's Saturday matinees at the theaters before the double monster feature.
John, you're coming through a little lighter. Are you further away from the microphone?
I am. Let me try increasing volume. How's that?
I think it's a little better.
That's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was watching the
Excellent.
intro. He was watching the intro. He thought he was at the theater, so he took a seat back like this. He was getting comfortable.
Yeah.
He had his popcorn. He was ready to go.
Gonna get my jujubes.
There you go. Jujubes.
Wow, I haven't seen those in a long time.
Right?
That's guaranteed to take a filling out.
Oh, yes, it will. Or a loose tooth.
Right.
All right, so
But
so
welcome-
yeah, let's get right into it.
Yeah.
Your most recent book is called Project Suicide, correct?
Correct.
Now, when did you finish that?
That was published in the middle of May. Came out in the middle of May, so I probably finished it about 8 months ago or so,
Okay.
and probably started it about a year and a half before that. So it's a process.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
A lot of people think writers go off to a mountaintop retreat, they write for a month, they send it to the publisher, and that's it. Generally takes, at least for me, and I know for a lot of other people, it takes about 2.5 years from first starting it to actually getting it in print.
Yep. Yeah, because I think we're going on 3 years with ours. Jeffrey?
Yeah, something like that. Yep.
3 years. Hopefully it'll be out by the end of the year. So,
Yeah, it takes a while.
Or
But-
if you're George R. R. Martin, it takes what, a couple lifetimes?
True that.
Very
true
good,
that.
very good, very good. I know we're going to get into the book and what it's all about, but I do have a question because, like I said, Jeff and I are both writers as well. Do you find when you're writing that you need to, do you have a happy place or a place of solitude where you like to write?
I have written several different places. I had an office in our place in Dayton, Ohio. This office here is good for writing. As long as it's quiet and comfortable, that's good for me. I need a computer. I don't really write longhand or typewriter or anything like that.
Right.
Basically a word processor. And so, yeah, that works for me. Just need the quiet time, need a few hours in the morning to do it.
Oh, nice. Yeah, the reason I ask is because I like to do a lot of writing. Like you said, it has to be quiet, but I do a lot of my writing when I'm up at Jeff's camp in the middle of the woods on a lake at the picnic table. But I actually sit there and write it out longhand, and then I come home and type it.
What?
Oh yeah, and then I send it to Jeff as one long sentence with no punctuation.
Everybody has a method. I'm always amazed that people like one of my influences is Hemingway. That was back in the day when you'd actually write stuff out longhand or on the typewriter and have to make an edit by putting a line through something, a circle around something else, an arrow down to the bottom, then the arrow picked up to go to the next. It's like, wow. And he managed 4,000 words a week.
Right? Well, that's my editing process because I circle things, I put the arrows, I use a red pen. Yep.
And then he retypes
So
it all.
I guess I'm old school.
Yeah, everybody has a process.
Now, you mentioned word processor. Do you use any particular software like Scrivener or anything like that?
Just Microsoft Word.
Okay.
And spell checker.
Right.
That's important.
That's important.
Usually it helps, but and then good editors are good too. They'll pick up a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yep.
Good
And we
editors.
even miss stuff.
Yeah.
We still miss stuff.
Well, and it's hard too. You as an author, maybe you've revised it 5 times, but it's still you looking at it. Each time you revise it, you try to have fresh eyes, take a little break beforehand,
Right.
do other things, but it's still you looking at it, and you need the reader to be looking at it. And the closest to that is a good editor. They will see it as the reader sees it, and they'll have a professional editor will have the savvy to know how to change it, and what it means. This slows it up. It may be a good turn of phrase, but it slows it up. Get rid of it, that kind of thing.
Right. Good point.
So, Project Suicide. I was reading the sample text. And would you consider that, is it a political thriller, a mystery? How would you define it?
I would call it primarily a techno thriller in the vein of a Michael Crichton or a Robin Cook, Jurassic Park, those kind of things. There's a little bit of technical material in there. You could call it a political thriller, but the politics is simply what Hitchcock would call the MacGuffin. What drives it forward, but there's no political bent to it. It's more in like the John Le Carre fashion or Frederick Forsyth or something. It's government entities, no political parties or anything really.
Right.
And I don't want people to get nervous about the idea that it has some technical material, because the technical material that is there is well explained. I have a lot of my writing history has been in consumer handbooks and other things, turning science into something people can understand. And more importantly, there's just enough technical material to sweeten it, to salve a lie. Because as a writer, as a fiction writer, you're a liar. You're making stuff up. Just like a con man, you want people to believe you. So you have to add that nugget of truth. Then they can say, wow, that's right, this guy knows. And then they buy the rest of it.
Wow. Valid point.
Okay.
I like that. Yeah, that was well explained, actually.
Right.
For all
I'm here all week.
Right. So I'm wondering, it takes, like you said, year and a half or however long it takes to actually, write this book. It goes through the editing, it finally gets printed and published. And when you receive the copy of the book for yourself, do you actually read it?
I did not. I will read parts of it. Like, for example, I'm doing a book club reading and speaking this week. I'll read parts of it, but as far as reading it, I won't go back and read the whole thing once it's published. I've moved on to other stuff. I just sent a new book to the publisher, and I'm working on a sequel to Project Suicide. I'm about 14,000 words into that. So you always have something in the pipeline. I like to think of it as it has to be two things, writing, at least for me. You have to be professional about it. You have to do it every day or almost every day. You have to have that discipline. I've heard people say, and this really strikes home to me. Plumbers never have plumber's block. You got to do the work. So you have to treat it as a professional. You always have to have something in the pipeline. But it has to be a hobby that you love. Otherwise, you really couldn't do it. It's this lot of time spent doing something that you only get intermittent return down the road. It's the industry where there's a lot of rejection. All writers have had a lot of rejection, whether you're Stephen King or James Patterson or whoever. And so you have to have that love of doing it. It's almost like an addiction. If I don't do it, it doesn't feel right.
Nice. Oh, okay. Yeah, because I know that we've talked to a number of actors and stuff, and a lot of them, they don't go back and watch the movies that they're in.
No, well, I've done stage work, both in community and regional theater in New Jersey and Ohio, and I hate to watch, like, if somebody videos a performance, I don't like to watch it, because even if you did a good job at it, you look at it and it's not right to you.
Right.
Even if it felt great when you were doing the performance. So yeah, I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And also, when you've got a book in front of you, if you see a mistake or you see something you would have done differently, there's nothing you can do about it at that point. It's written. So that's old water under the bridge kind of thing.
Right. Yep. Nope. I totally agree with that.
Cool. Now, you mentioned that you did a lot of technical writing back in the day.
Yeah. My writer's journey is a little different for most people. A lot of people have English majors and they get an MFA or whatever. I was a science major. I liked my reading and English and writing courses in school, and I've always loved to read a lot. But I pursued a degree in veterinary medicine,
Mm-hmm.
And I practiced small animal medicine in Michigan for about 7 years, and transitioned from that into doing research, looking at the causes for disease. I got a master's and a doctorate in public health after that, in epidemiology, which, thanks to COVID, most people know what it is. I got tired of explaining to people that it was not skin doctor. So yeah, I went to do that, and then when I noticed that as I was doing my research, I was about 20 years in industry and government. I noticed I was researching less and writing more. My employers liked my writing and wanted me to write more, and I was enjoying it. And the more I wrote, the more I wanted to write. So I transitioned from that to contract medical writing. So I write journal articles and advertorials, advertising copy, consumer handbooks, website content, radio scripts. I wrote a whole bunch of things, all being medical, technical vein. And that was going good until the Great Recession hit. And so around 2008, 2009, a lot of my business dried up.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it was actually a blessing in disguise, because my wife was still working, so we had the income coming in, and I had time. And I said I always like to read, an avid reader. Most avid readers think they have a book in them. And that was one of my dreams, is to write a novel. So I buckled down, and about 6-8 months, I finished a draft of my first novel, and that was thrilling. I enjoyed the heck out of doing it. And that's still sitting in a drawer somewhere. We'll probably never see the right light of day. What Steve King would call a trunk novel. But I was hooked. And even as business picked up with my medical writing, I kept doing some fiction writing, submitting short stories, started a couple more novels. And finally, about 6 years ago or so, I said, I'm going to do this full time. And a bunch of drafts of different books later, I got one published. And that's Project.
Awesome.
So that's quite the journey.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a hell of
So
a journey.
the having that veterinarian background kind of a thing, how does that influence the stories and the content of what you're writing now, or does it even influence?
Well, I think, in the vein of write what you know, there's a reason that some of the best techno thrillers like Jurassic Park and Andromeda Strain and Coma were written by physicians, because just like some of the best courtroom dramas are written by lawyers, when you write what you know, you already have an authenticity to your writing.
Mm-hmm.
And you're able to do the research. Like I said, there's not a huge amount of research. Certainly, I looked up things about genetics and things like that, but you typically do a lot more research than you put in the book. Because if you make the mistake of saying everything I looked up, I want to make sure it gets in the book, you're going to have a training manual or something. You're not going to have a novel. That's not the point of a novel. The point of a novel is to hook the reader with a little bit of truth, a little bit of facts, maybe a little bit of education, and pull them in that way so they can follow the story and enjoy the ride with you. I remember Michael Crichton once was quoted. He was asked, before you wrote Jurassic Park, did you spend weeks at a genetic research lab to get, research for the book? And he said, why would I do that? They can't make a dinosaur either.
Right.
It's fiction. You're making it up.
Right.
True that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. You can't argue with that point. I'm sorry.
It's like I said, it's like with a con man. You want people to get to that last page, and it's like walking in the guy's office, and now it's nothing but papers and empty cubicles.
Right.
He's done his job. He's moved on. You want them to buy into the story,
right?
Even though they have to suspend some disbelief to do it.
Leo, where can they find this amazing gentleman's work?
Well, you can definitely check the show notes up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And if you're interested in Project Suicide, I have a link to it right in the top of the show notes. So right under or above this video is going to be the first link. just click in. It's available on Amazon, Prime, Kindle, just about everywhere, right?
Yep. You can also find it if you went to Barnes and Noble or anything like that. They can order it for you. It's on Ingram, the big book distributor. So
Nice.
it's not. I mean, most people are going to buy it on Amazon, but you can find it anywhere really.
Nice, nice.
It's available in hardback, paperback, and Kindle. Kindle's very reasonable.
And are you going to do a audiobook?
Not an audiobook yet. We've talked about it, but not an audiobook yet.
I don't know. It's something I know. I know a bunch of people that do the audiobooks. I tried, but to me, I want to hold a book, and I just want to read it.
Yeah, but a lot of people talk about what do you like, paper books or Kindle? And I got to say, I like both. Although I'm a little bit old school, it's nicer to feel the paper. But with a Kindle, you can put an entire library on something this big and carry it around with you on vacation or whatever. So it's great in that way. They both have their pros and cons. A paper book never runs out of charge, for example.
right at the best part too, right?
Right. So
okay, I can see that.
Oh yeah.
Now, I mean, I consider myself a semi-avid reader. My problem is, I'm so busy, but when I find a book that I like, I don't do anything but read and finish that book.
that's good.
Yeah. You know what I mean? So other stuff gets left behind, and I get yelled at from people.
Well,
you know what I mean?
I'll give you the log line for Project Suicide, and you'll see if you want to do that with it. It's a story of how a cure for Alzheimer's disease is perverted into an assassination drug. Now, high-profile politicians are killing themselves, and only a drunken genius can save them in the country. So if that sounds interesting to you, you might want to start reading.
It sounds like there's a little bit of fact into that statement, too. I'm just saying.
I was waiting for that one.
Now, how long is the book?
I think it's 314, 315 pages, something like that in paperback.
No, okay. All right, so that's not bad.
So yeah, it's not a huge. It's no Stephen King 800-pager, or George R.R. Martin. It's a quick read. It's a thriller. Thrillers typically are not as long as a lot of books like Stephen King.
Right.
But the basic.
Now,
Go ahead.
how much time per day do you devote to writing?
Usually in the neighborhood of between 1.5 and 3 hours in the mornings, typically in the mornings. People usually write in the mornings or in the evenings. I'm a morning writer. And that's another, I think, myth about writing is that people think, wow, you just sit down and all day long you're writing and writing and writing. And I don't know if any writer can do that. Most writers have a word count. Mine is usually somewhere between 700 and 1,100 words a day. Some days more, some days less. Stephen King is 2,000 a day, but he's phenomenal.
Right.
Some people do 400 or 500 a day. Or you may set a certain amount of time aside, 1, 2, 3 hours. But you really can't creatively do more than that. You kind of go into brain overload.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
In the afternoon, I'll be doing promotion stuff, or I'll be submitting a short story, or something or watching an old movie. You can see behind me here, there's a lot of videos, and there's more over here. I'm an old movie buff. And so, yeah, that's about it for me. I would say about 2, maybe 3 hours a day.
Yeah, I was gonna say I usually write till my hand and my brain hurt.
Yeah. You can only do so much, really, and I
Right.
found that true when I was doing medical writing too. You can't work all day and be creative with it. Actually crafting something.
Right.
Wow. Now, somebody had given us some advice a while back. Talking to somebody who says, I don't got the time to write a book. I just can't dedicate enough time to that. Blah, 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 blah. She came back and said, "Don't look at it as you're writing an entire book all at once. Write one page a day."
Right, and that's true. If you think about it, if you write even just 500 words a day with a 80,000 word book, that's only 160 days. That's only
Right.
5 months to get
Right.
the first draft. And there's this crazy thing that some people try to do called, you've heard of it, NaNoWriMo. You try to write an entire book in the month of November. Why they chose November, I don't know. But you try to write an entire draft in the month of November. And I've never done that kind of stuff. For me, it puts unnecessary stress on yourself, and you can't possibly produce anything that's good. I mean, not when you're rushing through like that.
Right.
So it's you're right. It's a process, and it's that dedication a little bit every day. And over time, you have a draft. Over longer time, you have revisions and something that's publishable.
Well, now, how many revisions did Project Suicide go through before it was finally put to print?
Well, if you include like the final proof stage, which is not really a revision, it's more than just checking everything, but probably be about 7.
Okay.
And there's the first one, and you let it sit for a while. First draft, you let it sit for a while. Maybe send it off to some other people you trust, beta readers, and say, "What do you think? Is it catching your attention? Does it have problems, holes, whatever?" They give it back to you, revise again. A few more weeks go by, you're doing other things, you revise it again. So after like 4 or 5 revisions, while you're working on other projects in between time, it's ready to go to an editor. And that's something else that people don't. I know some people who self-publish. I'm publishing through a small press. Some people self-publish, and they don't bother with an editor. They don't want to pay for a professional editor, or they give it to their buddy to edit. Editing is really important, and like I said, it requires that professional to see it the way the reader sees it and know how to fix things, what to change, how to increase the flow or speed it up or whatever. And those people are professional. They cost money.
Yeah, they do. And speaking of costing money, we're about at that time for the commercial break.
If I can find the right
Let's
button.
all go to the lobby.
Yes, exactly. Get your jujubes.
Yeah.
We need the hot dog and popcorn dancing across the stage.
Just the one we got today, or the episode 1 commercial or sample?
You can play them both.
Okay.
That's fine.
Well, so as you know, we just got back from Maryland Poppin' HorrorCon, but just in 7, I think Ben said 7 days. I don't think it's 7 days. I think his math is off.
Jeff and I
leave in 7 days.
Okay.
You leave in 8 days. The show is in 9 days.
Okay.
It opens a week from Friday.
Well, but I say 7 days because we have to go down Wednesday to make sure everything's ready to go.
Enough. Tidewater Horror Convention. Here we are. Awesome. That's going to be in a little over a week. And Ben and Jeff have something cool they want to show you. Here we go.
Hey, dude, I need a fucking break, man.
Wah, wah, wah. All you do is cry.
I'm fucking hiking for hours.
There's a bench over there. Let's go take a seat.
I ain't gonna sit on that. You know how much ass has been on that bench? I'm gonna sit on this rock.
All right, sit on the rock. So, what the fuck are we gonna do now?
Fucking get high.
Yeah, I like that idea.
Hey, look over there behind those trees.
What the fuck is that?
Isn't that fucking ugly zombie that you fucking got stoned? He stole our weed? Let's go get him.
Hey, man, watch out for the one on the fence. Fuck! Jesus, they're everywhere. Piper! Where is she when you need her?
He's probably pissing behind a fucking tree.
Oh, piss off, dude. Take that, ants. I'll piss all over your home.
All right, so I'm high.
Woo! I'm high. There's a dead zombie over there now.
Yeah, I see him. Well, I guess. You ready to start hiking again?
Not really. Where the fuck are we going?
That way.
That way.
That way. All right.
Piper!
Did you girls miss me?
You need to cut the what, like 20 seconds of blackness at the end of that.
I didn't put it out. I'll have to call the animator.
Yeah, that's going to get cut.
I just figured you'd stop it.
I think I got a contact buzz off that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a fun little thing that we wanted to play around with.
Kind of goes along with the comic and book story, the comic and novel story, and the TV series.
Yep.
So, and now animation. So
Now, is there going to be an extended version coming out, or?
That's what we're hoping. That's the game plan.
Okay.
We'll see.
That's a little 2-minute teaser thing, you know.
So back to our amazing guest. Enough about us.
Yes. So you said you write short stories too.
Yeah, I've gotten about 8 published. Last year was my best year. I think I had 5 published.
Wow.
Short stories are a little different animal. A lot of people say, writing short stories, does that help you write a novel? Well, yes and no. The structure is very different. Short stories are a quick hitter kind of thing, where novels are a long-term thing. But it does help you learn to write. You're writing short stories. They're quicker to write, quicker to revise. You pick up more things on writing structure, flow, that kind of thing. So yeah, I enjoy short stories. Usually my short stories, where most of my novels are thriller, kind of fast-paced, things like that. My short stories are more Twilight Zone-y. I'm a kind of a child of the Twilight Zone, so there's usually a twist in there and a little punch at the end, and sometimes some horror aspect, sometimes a little occult aspect,
Now, are those, you said they were published, are those on your website?
Yeah, there's links to a few of those on my website.
Okay.
And so people can check them out. Also, on my website, you can sign up to be on my email list. and I send out occasional short stories. I've written a couple poems. I'm not a great poet, but I'll share those as well. And yeah, so if you're on my email list, you can check out some of my short stories, find out about what I'm working on next, where I'm going to be promoting, and I even have a little gift card giveaway at the end of the year. So you can if you're on the email list, you get a chance at $25 from Amazon.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool.
Nice.
Hey, Leo, where can they find those links?
In the
Up
show
above or
notes.
down below.
There we go.
Right?
Yeah, as Jeff said, up above or down below, depending on where you're watching or listening to us. And the first link is the Amazon link for Project Suicide, and you'll be right at top, right at bottom, or to the left or to the right.
I beat you to it.
Oh, I didn't even see the comment.
So no, it's actually a question. He says, how do you keep continuity in a story? I know my brain has a hard time remembering every detail that I create.
Well, that's interesting. Some people will keep an actual like character list where they will describe characters, kind of like an actor prepping for a role, and then they'll keep this list and refer back to it. I did that for a while, but I kind of lost track of doing it. Mostly you do it through the revision process. You know, you try, I sometimes will check back if I forgot something, color of somebody's hair or something like that. Mm-hmm. Usually they're so ingrained in my mind, the way I've seen them and put them down the page, that that's not much of an issue. But during revision, you come up and find stuff like that every once in a while. You go, wait a minute, that can't happen then because it was supposed to happen in the morning. And so you go back, you say, yeah, you usually a quick, there's an easy fix to it. But that's part of the 5 or 6 revisions that you do. And again, good editors will pick that stuff up too. They'll look for continuity as well as grammar, punctuation, flow, unnecessary words, better verb usage, all the nifty stuff that you don't think about when you're reading, but really makes a book good.
Mm-hmm. It makes it flow. I mean, I think the only book that I ever read that I literally could not put down was Terry Brooks. I couldn't put it down.
Oh, the Terry Brooks fantasy ones?
Yeah, the Sword of Shannara.
Yeah, the Sword of Shannara, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are great. Yeah, I read those years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those came out like 78 or something like that, the first one.
For me, it was Tolkien.
Mm.
I read him the first book in high school, and I think I finished it in a week. And got the second book and finished that in a week. Then it was summer vacation, and I finished Return of the King. And then I read The Hobbit, and before the end of summer, I read them all again. So that was my favorite book at the time in high school. Or favorite.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of them coming out with a new series? Actually, thinking like 2 weeks.
I think it's great. I mean, I loved the movies when they came out. I remember seeing the first one, Fellowship of the Ring, with a friend of mine. And, you know, we watched the whole thing. And when we came out, we just looked at each other and we both said, I can't think of how you could do it better.
Right.
And if they had the same kind of quality in the series, that'd be great.
Right.
Yeah, because I remember years back they tried to do a cartoon version of it.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was 70s, I think.
That was a flop. I mean, they just did not do anything.
Well, there was 2 cartoons, right? They did one off of The Hobbit and one off of Lord of the Rings, right?
Yes.
Right. Yep.
Yes.
The Hobbit, I think, had Gandalf's voice was John Huston.
Wow.
And the other one was a lot of the animation was basically actors that they painted over on the film, so it looked kind of hokey.
So speaking of film and writings,
hold on before you do. I was gonna say also don't forget Spock did a musical about it.
Really?
Oh, you haven't seen it?
No, Fox did a
Spock.
musical?
Spock. Leonard Nimoy. if you get a chance, look up Leonard Nimoy Hobbit song. It is, oh my
Oh,
gosh.
I've heard him sing the song.
Yeah. And yeah, there's a there's a whole video production to go along with it.
Wow, I did not know that. I knew the song. That was it.
Yeah. They made it. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
See what you learn on these things?
Oh, yeah.
Right,
Something
right.
to check out.
So, but what I was going to say is, speaking of movies and writings, do you ever see any of your novels potentially becoming a movie, or even maybe a compilation of your short stories?
Well, I think every author would like not one of their novels to become a movie. And you guys know anybody, producers, whatever, who want a good property? I'm not as expensive as Stephen King or James Patterson, so you're getting a deal. At least not yet. But yeah, I would love to see Project Suicide as a movie. I've had lots of people tell me, both with Project Suicide and then with the new one I have just sent in checkout time. They read in there. They said it reads to me like a movie. I can see it in my head, and that's perfect because that's what you want as a writer. You're creating this movie in your head, and you want the reader to also see the movie in your head. Maybe not exactly the same as what you see, but the same story, same flow, and they follow along that way. So yeah, movie would be great.
Nice. Well, you said your short stories were more Twilight Zone-y.
Yeah.
So would you prefer to see those as like a Twilight Zone?
No, I think the novels, the fact that they're thrillers and the length of them lend themselves good to something in like 2 hours or 2.5 hours, an hour 45 minutes or something.
Right.
I think that's true in generally. Otherwise, you'd have to have like an anthology thing like Creepshow.
Well, right. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Which was great, but it's also Stephen King, so you're starting with really, really good source material. I think he wrote a lot of that too. So
true.
Yep. So, as any, I'm a serious horror fan. I love horror movies. I love reading suspense thrillers and all that kind of stuff. Do you throw that little bit of a sexual twist into little parts of it, like a lot of these people do?
Sure. I mean, that's a good thriller. It's I have it on my website. I forget exactly what I said, but it's something like I start off with a roux of action and add a dash of comedy and a little splash of spicy sex. Because maybe not always graphic. Certainly, I don't think there's need for that a lot.
No, there's no need for that. No.
But yeah, it's part of adult reading. These are novels not for kids.
Right.
A teenager might like them, but they're really written for adults.
Right. I mean, I remember as a kid, my parents gave me Peter Benchley's Jaws.
Okay, yeah.
To read. They wanted me to read that for my summertime read. I'm reading it and I'm like, what the fuck? There was a whole chapter missing. They ripped the damn chapter out of the book before they gave it to me.
This must be the chapter with Hooper and Mrs.
Yes.
What's her name? Yeah, Mrs. Cheek.
Yes, they ripped it right out of the book. I'm like, what are you doing?
Plus, defacing a book. Oh.
Right, exactly. I'm like, literally, they just ripped the pages out. I didn't know it until I got there. I'm like, okay, there's something seriously missing here. So I went out to the bookstore after I finished the book, and I knew which chapter was missing, so I read it in the bookstore.
Right. Now, I've had it happen where you open an old book and you lose some pages. They come tumbling out along with the book lice. But I've not had anybody rip the pages out. That's sacrilege.
Yes.
No offense to your parents.
They were trying to protect me, apparently, by giving me a book about man-eating sharks, but I couldn't see the fun stuff in it.
They meant well.
Yes, they did. Yes.
Oh my.
So what if you had a favorite book, what is it?
God, it depends on the genre. My three big authors that I'm most influenced by and I love the most, I've read, well, I don't know if the most, but certainly a lot of. Uh, Ernest Hemingway,
Mhm.
I think he revolutionized American writing, gave us short punches instead of long, drawn out purple prose. Um, Elmore Leonard, he's the king in my book of dialogue. I tell people if you wanna learn dialogue, read plays, which are just dialogue and stage direction,
Mhm.
and read Elmore Leonard. And then Stephen King is he's the master of character. He develops these characters that you learn to love, and then he does crazy things to them. And he weaves together these intricate plots. So he's Mr. Plot and Mr. Character. And so in each of those, I have favorite books. My favorite Hemingway is For Whom the Bell Tolls. My favorite Elmore Leonard is probably either the Raylan book or maybe one of his westerns like Valdez is Coming. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then for Stephen King, I mean, the first book of his that I read that I really loved was The Shining.
Mhm.
But probably the one that I've gone back to and read the most, two of them, 11/22/63, about the going back in time with the Kennedy assassination, and a little lesser known one of his hard case crime novels called Joyland. It's only about 350 pages, almost a short story for Stephen King.
Right.
But it's got a little bit of occult in it, a little bit of murder mystery, a little bit of human interest. It's really if you haven't read it, it really is a nice read.
Now, what about the short works of like Edgar Allan Poe?
Oh yeah, I mean I love those. I've read, I would think most of those. I actually had a course in college called Edgar Allan Poe, and we read.
Yeah, I took one too.
Yeah, and that was great. I mean, had a lot of fun doing that. I still like on Halloween sometimes at different events. I will read dramatically read something like The Cask of Amontillado or The Raven, Telltale Heart, something like that. Yeah.
Nice.
Those are really fun ones as an actor to read.
Right. So Jeremy had a question. He asked where you pulled your inspiration from.
Well, inspiration, that's kind of like asking, where do you get your ideas from? And I would say that most authors would agree that they come from things you see in life and asking the question, what if? What if a giant shark terrorized the coastal community and the chief was afraid of the water? You know, you have Jaws. What if you could actually get dinosaur DNA out of a fossil and make your own dinosaur? You have Jurassic Park. My what if for Project Suicide was I was visiting my father-in-law who was suffering from dementia in a assisted living facility. And so over time you saw the deterioration.
Mm-hmm.
And it was sad. And I thought, boy, I know they're working on a cure for Alzheimer's. I hope they find it. And then I said, well, what if they found it, but it had a big side effect? What if it blocked the gene for Alzheimer's disease, because it's a genetic disease, it also blocked an adjacent gene for self-preservation? So as your sense of self came back, so would a sense of self-loathing and suicidal thoughts. And here's the big what if, which really led to the book. What if you gave that to someone who didn't have Alzheimer's disease? It'd be the perfect suicide and assassination drug, because they would kill themselves. And I thought, boy, there would be no trace, really. Nobody could put any blame on you. It would look like a a suicide, an accident kind of thing. So
Okay, now you're scaring me.
Now, don't tell me that I'm a suicidal maniac now. I played one. I was Jonathan in Arsenic and Old Lace twice, so I know how to do it. But
As he takes a sip of his water and just smirks.
Wow.
I will never admit to having done. How's that?
Yeah. So I've got an interesting question for you. James Patterson does an awful lot of work, and he co-writes with a ton of different people. Is that something that would interest you in doing?
I mean, as far as like doing it for somebody else, taking one of their series and advancing it, not really, because I mean, I'm not looking to try to imitate other people's style. I have a distinctive voice. When you read my stuff, I think you know it's my stuff. Just like if you read Hemingway, you know it's Papa, and if you read Stephen King, you know it's Stephen King. Not that I'm putting myself in the same category with them, but
why not?
I would like to hope. But so I'm not really interested in that, and I'll tell you, like I was a big fan of Robert Parker's Jesse Stone books, and I read all of those right up to they had one after he passed, written by someone else. And I think they did several after that. And I started reading it, and you could tell it was somebody imitating him.
Okay.
And that just didn't ring true to me. Like I said, writing is you got to have that certain amount of truth in there. And if it's not there, to me, that just wouldn't be worth it. And Patterson and some others, Grisham, I think, that does that as well, have been criticized for that. Now they're probably laughing all the way,
right?
Which is fine. They're making money. It's their business, right. And I'm not going to say there's anything wrong with it, but it's not something I don't think I would want to do.
Right. No, because one of the other authors that I don't follow or whatever, I've read a number of his books, is Dean Koontz.
Oh yeah. I read some Dean Koontz.
Yeah, I love his style.
Yeah, he's sometimes his endings are like falling off the table, but but certainly his plots and characters, the villains that he creates, fantastic. Yeah.
Sorry, that was funny to me. The falling off the table.
You get to the end of a book and you're like, really?
Yeah,
that's it.
You have a lunch date or something, you just want to finish it. But I remember that in a couple of books, not all of them that I've read. Probably read a half dozen.
Right.
But he's a great storyteller.
Oh, absolutely.
But kind of like a bad spouse with premature ejaculation at the end.
You really see it. It's that movie in your head thing we're talking about.
Right.
Dean Koontz.
Right.
So, speaking of movies, you say you enjoy watching classics, and you said you have quite a collection there. What's some of the movies you watched recently?
Oh, let's see. I actually did a podcast about 3 Days of the Condor with Robert Redford. And so I rewatched that probably for about the 40th time about 2 weeks ago. And that's a great one. I have certain thrillers I go back to every year, like Mirage with Gregory Peck, and The Charade with Cary Grant and Audrey Hepburn, and Day of the Jackal, 3 Days of the Condor, Topaz, North by Northwest, those kind of things. There's also horror ones that I love, American Werewolf in London, The Howling, Wolf, The Changeling with George C. Scott. That's a fantastic little horror movie. War pictures that I love, Hell is for Heroes, Between Heaven and Hell, A Bridge Too Far. I could go on and on. It's every genre, there's go-to ones that I like to go back to. Tootsie for comedy. I think that's the greatest comedy. Just watched The Godfather recently, again for like the 50th time.
Oh,
right.
did you watch the series that they made about it?
No, I want to see that though. I think that's good. About the making of The Godfather.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely amazing.
Now they did a thing about, I'm guessing it was mid 80s, I saw it when it was out on television. It was called Godfather, a novel for television. And they basically spliced together Godfather 2 and Godfather 1 in chronological order. So you started out with young Vito seeing his mother get killed and stuff. And then you went up through him going and older Vito at becoming a mafioso and all the way on. That was really interesting. They added some extra footage, some cut scenes, and that was very entertaining. I would love to get that on DVD or something. I'm not sure we have it out there.
Nice. The I think you would really enjoy the I think it's called The Offer, because it goes into like the inspiration for all that, like why they filmed in Italy and all the inspiration behind the book. It's just it's amazing, and how the author wasn't considered eligible to work on a movie because they didn't hire authors; they hired script writers to go into that. And so like he was like kind of breaking the mold there. It was it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I love that kind of stuff. Watched my wife and I watched what was it called, Lucy and Desi, I think, or something, which was a dramatized version of Lucy and Desi Arnaz, and that was great. And I certainly love things about making movies. I'll watch the little. And that's the nice thing about DVDs is oftentimes they give you a little making of the movie thing, like a 10-minute thing on how they did it and what the actors were talking about and stuff. I love that kind of stuff.
Right. The behind the scenes stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I know we are coming up on time. So where can our viewers and listeners find this amazing gentleman's works?
Well, if you
Amazon.
check.
Smart ass.
In the show notes up above or down below, first link there, according to Leo, is a link to the Amazon. I can't wait to get this book and read it myself because it sounds awesome. I love that horror thriller kind of stuff.
See, now
I eat that shit up.
I'm going to have to go to his website because I like the short stories, the Twilight Zone-y type stuff. That's like...
That's because you got the attention span of a gnat.
Well, yeah, that's because I have to deal with you all the time.
That's the thing. Short stories, they're kind of a lost art, but they're wonderful because, if you don't want to delve into a George R.R. Martin 700-word tome, 20, 30 pages, and you've read a short story, you've had some entertainment,
Right.
It's a nice little appetizer kind of thing,
Yeah, that's me, That's about how much time I have to dedicate to reading. It's maybe
right.
20 or 30 pages a day if I'm lucky.
Yeah.
Right. I actually just read one. It was called The Viewfinder. Little things you used to get with a disc.
Yeah.
But it was a short horror story. It was awesome.
Viewmaster.
Yeah, The Viewmaster. Yep.
The Viewmasters, yep. So, any more questions?
No.
We had a ton of comments come in. I saw that.
Right.
Yeah, comments. No, I think we got all the questions.
All right. Any last questions from you gentlemen before we wrap this up?
Yeah, I do. So, are you out doing like signings at bookstores, and are you making appearances to promote the book?
I'm certainly in the process of that. I've got a book club signing coming up in Knoxville, Tennessee, in about a week from tomorrow. Okay. And I'm trying to work on a deal to get down to maybe a signing and a radio interview down in Alabama, in Huntsville. And got some other feelers out for some bookstores in Tri-Cities area of Eastern Tennessee and in Knoxville and things like that. So I'm certainly, anybody knows anybody in Eastern Tennessee or within a couple 100 miles of Knoxville, I would love to talk about it and get some books signed and meet some readers.
Mm-hmm.
It's the promotion wheel. I'm on that now, doing podcasts. So,
Right.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Very good.
Yeah. Well, on that note, I want to thank everybody for watching this fine evening. For me, just Google Leo Pond. You find a bunch of stuff. Could be true, could be not. I'm not going to say which is which, but I run the Dorkening Podcast Network. We got a ton of awesome shows doing a ton of awesome stuff. Head on over to thedorkening.com. You can see all the latest episodes of all the shows there. And without further ado, John, where do you like people interacting with you on social media?
I'm on Facebook. You can follow me on Facebook, facebook.com/wwc.johnb, JOHNB. And certainly you can get on my website and send me a message through contacts there. And, all that's good.
Awesome. And we have a bunch of those in the show notes, so you can easily find them there. Jeffrey?
Yeah, just go to stilltoking.com. You'll find out everything you need to know. All our links will be there. All our past shows are there if you want to go take a look at those. This one will be up there probably in a couple of days. Tomorrow. Facebook. Yeah, tomorrow. Facebook is Token with the Dead. We're easy to find. Just don't Google me. Google Leo. That's what I recommend.
Well, Leo, there you go, man. He's letting you get Googled.
Sounds good.
But yeah, no, like Jeff said, stilltoking.com for us. We want to thank John for coming out. Make sure you check out his book. I hear it's off the charts, man. And, just go see him somewhere. Get an autograph. Don't be lazy. Seriously.
Can I still say something here?
Oh, sure. You can say anything you'd like.
I hope people read the book. I hope they like it. And if you do, leave a review on Amazon. That's more important than people think, both from where you're placed on Amazon and other people deciding if they want to read the book. They look at those reviews, they read them. So
that is true.
I know I do.
It's 100% true. That's one of the reasons why we have a testimonial page on our website for this show. So everybody watching this can go back and read all the okay things people say about us.
Like where's that damn light switch?
Yeah, where's that light switch? Exactly.
Continuity.
Keep it up. To all our veterans and first responders, we want to thank you for doing what you do every day so people like us can do what we do. Stay safe. We'll see you next week. Oh, no, we won't. We'll see you next weekend.
We'll see you next weekend, starting Friday night with live panels. We will be all through the weekend from Tidewater Horror Convention.
We are going to chain Leo to the chair. And we'll feed him. We'll keep him hydrated. Don't worry.
A couple of rum and cokes. He'll be good.
Right.
And you really, Jeffrey bought me a drink this weekend. How come you didn't?
I don't know, because I'm cheap. What? I didn't know. Hey, listen, if you say to me, I'd like a rum and coke in the middle of the day, Leo, I'll go right to the bar and get you one.
I'll never turn down a rum and coke. That
Okay.
or a, what's the one with coffee?
I don't know.
Oh,
an Irish coffee?
White Russian?
White Russian, yeah.
White Russian. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, but on that note,
thank you for joining us, John. It's been a pleasure. I'm going to reach out to you personally because I want to get a copy of your book. Mine needs to be signed. I don't know how I do that, but I will reach out to you personally.
Send me an email. We can make it happen.
I will do that.
Right.
I think I'm friends with you on Facebook because I wanted to catch up with a little bit before we did the show. So.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to need an autographed copy for the office. Absolutely.
So. All right, fantastic. And on that note, we will see everybody next weekend. Again, there's no show on Wednesday. That has been postponed because Wednesday at about this time, I'm still going to be driving.
Yes, you will. And I will have my shoes off like you did on the way home from Maryland. My feet will be stinking. And I'll probably be working online.
We don't need to know this.
Well, close out the show.
Yeah, you didn't do your saying, but
yes, I most certainly did.
You didn't?
I did. I thanked our veterans and first responders, and I told everybody to state, yes, I most certainly did. Go back and watch it.
See, this is like a Dean Kuntz book. Bad ending.
Yeah, it's like the brownie kicked in.
Thank you.
So come on.